What's happening, everybody? Happy, what's the day? Wednesday? Is it Wednesday or Thursday? No, it's Wednesday. Wednesday. Hey, they all tie in together for me. If this is your first time viewing me here, let me know if this is your first time. Let me know if you've never seen me before in life. That's fine too. Just let me give me your name, what city and state and country that you're coming in from. I normally don't give Facebook some time to catch up. I normally just jump right into the content. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to give Facebook a little time to generate this thing around and see how many people want to join me for a few minutes here as I do something that most people always say in this industry we call network marketing, multi-level marketing, direct sales, whichever one you want to put on, whatever title you want to put on it. And I often tell people all the time, we're all participating in network marketing. Some of us are just getting paid, and some of us are paying other people to participate in network marketing. And I would love to be the person that's getting paid and the person who's actually watching the other person get paid as well. So I participate on both sides of the pendulum. Some people don't, they only participate on one side and they do it unconsciously, or some of them do it consciously and just don't even know that they're doing it because they've been doing it for so long and they've gotten used to it. It's just part of their life. And when they want to say, well, I'm good, Greg, I would love to do that, blah, blah, blah. Okay, I get it. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Greg Napier. I live in the state of Ohio, but I was born and raised the first 12 years of my life in the projects of Chattanooga, Tennessee. My mom moved us to Ohio when I was 12 in 1970. And so Columbus is my base. Yeah, Columbus is my base. And I've lived in lots of cities and states. I've lived in California for one. I've lived in Pittsburgh. I've lived in New Jersey. I've lived in different foreign countries. My first duty station right out of the Marine Corps, I was in Guantanamo Bay, Cuba. When I got out of the Marine Corps, I worked for the Postal Service for roughly 25 years. Then I resigned in January of 2008 to pursue my entrepreneurial spirit full time. And I jumped out on faith. And a lot of people thought I was a fool. And a lot of those people have gone on, and some of them are still working. And there's nothing wrong with a job. That I'm telling you right now, this is not a live where I'm bashing a job. I'm actually telling you here, if I haven't told you before, stay on your job. But you'll see the title says myEcon, and it says why I joined myEcon. Now I'm going to tell you what's going on. A lot of people will tell you in this industry, don't market the company that you're in, because people will go to Google and they'll do a Google search. And then if they're interested in the company, they won't align themselves with you. They'll go with whoever they feel can give them the best bang for their buck. Okay, I don't operate in scarcity. There's over 320 something million people in the United States of America alone. There are 68 million people who have bad credit and who are in debt. 68 million. Okay, I'm a part of a group called the baby boomers, which is the second largest group of people on planet Earth. If you were born between the years of 1946 and 1964, you are the baby boomer. The millennials are second, but the baby boomers will soon be the top. They run in a close second behind the millennials. So I'll say that me talking about the company that I'm with is not a problem. There's so much money to go around. We could be in the overflow and never touch nothing. So don't be afraid to talk about the company you're in unless you're in a company that's no good. Now, if you're in a company that's no good, then I would be the first one to tell you, you need to leave that company. And I've been inside this industry for 13 years, full time, this year, 2021. And I've had some rough days and I've had some good days. I've been a part of some good companies. I've been a part of some not so good companies. I've made some money. In the beginning, I didn't make any money. It was a learning curve. I didn't make nothing. I didn't even understand how this thing was working. So I just knew that someone told me you could make a lot of money in network marketing. And so I decided, okay, I'm going to do that. But before I came over to the network marketing arena, from 1997 up until 2006, I was in the real estate game. I started my career in the real estate game full-time, well, part-time, actually, part-time, buying my first investment property in 1998. And I was stuck at that point. Yes. I bought my first property to live in at the age of 27 in 1985. I still own that property to this date. Yes. Yes. Hear me again. I bought my first property at age 27. Back then, the interest rate on that property was 11.5% interest, and my mortgage was $442. That was tax and insurance. That was less than most people were paying for apartments. And I had a lot of people laughing at me when I was 1 year on the job at the Postal Service. And they was like, well, Greg, how you going to just buy a house? What if you lose your job? Did I just get another job? But I wasn't going to live in an apartment. I had made a pact with myself and said, when I get to a point where I'm old enough to buy a home, I'm going to buy a home. I'm going somewhere with this, ladies and gentlemen. Read in the description very closely on very carefully on why I joined myEcon. And myEcon simply stands for my personal financial success, meaning me, myEcon, your personal economy, you the individual. The individual is looking at me, the individual is looking at themselves. And once I finish telling the story, then you will see why it's your personal economy, because we all have our own individual personal economies. Make no difference if you're in a network marketing business, an affiliate program, you're still working your job, you own a traditional business. It still boils down to your personal finances. If your personal finances are not intact, you're going to be just like a lot of Americans. That's why 68 million Americans are broke. They have bad credit. They're in debt. That's not Greg's opinion. That is the statistics that I got from Google. And I've been following this trend for the last 8 years. And it keeps going higher and higher and higher, because most people don't understand the importance of financial literacy. They don't teach it in school. The most I ever learned about finances in school was to get a budget, save some money, and don't spend more than you have. Okay, that's easier said than done, and most of us don't do that. I know I was one of those people. Didn't understand the importance of a budget. If I saw it, I worked a good job. If I saw it, I bought it. It just was that simple. And I thought I was going to live forever. When I went to the Postal Service, I was 26. When I left, I was 50. I'm 63 years of age right now. That's 13 years later. And I'm going to tell you right now, ladies and gentlemen, if I had to do it all over again, I would definitely do it again, because I have an entrepreneurial spirit. But I will tell you, you may not, so stay on your job, but you still need to take care of your finances. And if you're on your job right now and you have a good job, stay on that job and maximize whatever retirement plan that you have. I maximized my retirement plan, but I squandered it when I left, because I was still chasing my dreams of becoming a real estate tycoon. I love real estate. I still love real estate to this day. I'm just not actively involved in the real estate game per se like I was before. I've transitioned myself starting in 2008. Yeah, I started in 2009. 2009, I transitioned. From 2009 to right now, 2021. And I believe this is where I'll be for the rest of my life. Unless I decide I want to go somewhere else, unless God sends me in another direction. But here's the deal. Prior to myEcon, and here's the deal. My wife and I were getting great checks and will continue to get great checks from the Postal Service as far as retirement goes, but we were living retirement check to retirement check. On the surface, it looked like we had it going on. We had our cars, we had our home, we still have it. But at that time, and I'm telling the front end of the story, and I'm telling it for a reason because a lot of people need to hear this, and they need to hear me well on taking care of your personal finances. Even though myEcon is the vehicle and it happens to be a network marketing company, what I'm going to be talking about to you in these next few minutes is basically about the strategy portion and I'm not talking about recruiting anyone, not bringing anyone on. All of the money that I'm going to talk to you about from this point on is basically on me and what I did for me and my family, my personal finances. Remember that. And this is where a lot of people get tripped up because when I introduce it, then they say they're good. I'm good. But your finances, they're not good. But you refuse to do something about it because you think something miraculous is going to take place without you doing something, and that's not going to happen. Because I was that person too. I thought, well, maybe if I would go get another job or take on some cleaning gigs or whatever, I can add some more income. All that did was add more time. And you only got 24 hours in a day. I couldn't possibly write all of that in the description, but I could share it with you in the video to give you an idea. I want you to pay attention to what I'm saying, watch this video to the end, because the story I'm telling is the same story, just a different person of the 68 million people who are broke, in debt, and got bad credit. That's a big number and climbing. I was one of those 68 million people. Prior to me joining myEcon in 2016, yes, I was nearly $500,000 in debt. And I didn't even know it because I wasn't paying attention to it. I was burying my head in the sand and just going from check to check, month to month. Instead of going from paycheck to paycheck working, I was going from retirement check to retirement check. And sometimes in between, like, hey, what in the world's going on? How did we get here? I am a little smarter than this. We both had great jobs. We were both making good money. Where did the disconnect come in? I tell you where the disconnect came in is because we were ignorant to the real true essence of finances. And if you're being true to yourself, you'll admit that you're ignorant to the true essence of finances, because there are a lot of broke networkers. There are a lot of broke business owners, because if they weren't, the pandemic exposed it. That's why they were asking for money from the government, because instead of them living paycheck to paycheck, they were living invoice to invoice. So they needed the money. These were small, medium, and large businesses and companies and corporations. Why do you see it all over the news? They're asking for bailouts. And these are large companies who you have been participating in. All of the car corporations were getting bailout money. Banks were getting bailout money. Financial institutions were getting bailout money. Where is that coming from? That's coming from you, John. You and I, John Q. Public. They were lacking in what's called financial literacy as well, but on a higher level. So when a person like myself comes along and says to you, hey, you probably need to take a look at this to take care of your personal finances and stop saying you good, because you know you're not. The news is telling you. And you got exposed when the pandemic hit, and then now you can't go to job. You don't have an essential job, or you don't have a job that you can work from home. You're a forklift driver, you're working in a warehouse, you're working in a factory. There's nothing wrong with those jobs. But the reality of the fact of the matter is you couldn't work from home. So how do you feed your family? You got a mortgage, car payment, and you need groceries. How do you do that? Ask yourself that question today. Ask yourself that question, or whatever how do I feed my family if I got to keep relying on the government to send me a stimulus check? When you can create your own stimulus check, and you can start today. Don't make no difference what type of job you get. And this is not going to always be this way. The pandemic going to go away. There's going to be something else. But are you going to be prepared? Are you going to be proactive or reactive? You have to ask yourself that. So I told myself, I said, this will never, ever happen to me again in my life. And I made a conscious effort to pull me and my wife and our finances out of the toilet for real. But before joining, I had my credit was bad. It was in the low 600s across the board. My wife was in the 4 and the 5s across the board. We didn't have an emergency fund. We didn't have nothing. Our interest rate on our house was 6.5%. We kept watching interest rates drop, but we couldn't do nothing about it because our credit was trash. You couldn't go get refinanced with 600 credit scores and 4 and 5 credit scores. How's that gonna happen? Thank God no really true emergency happened, or we would have been in trouble for real. And there were a lot of people who fell by the wayside because of that one little thing. They don't understand the importance of having a true emergency fund. And let me educate you real quick, because I was that person who thought that having that credit card over there in the event of an emergency was an emergency fund, and that's a lie. It's not. Quick example of that not being a true emergency fund. If your tires bust and you need 4 brand new tires, and you got a credit card that you use only for emergency, and you need $500 to take care of those tires, you get the tires, you go there, you get them, boom, you got the new tire, you can go and continue with your life and go to work, bam. But now when the bill comes, what are you going to pay? You're going to pay the minimum, or are you going to pay it completely off? Most people are going to pay on it because they can't afford to pay it off, because they couldn't afford another bill from the beginning. So now you just added $500 more onto your bottom line, and you were already robbing Peter to pay Paul. That's why that credit card that you called an emergency fund is not an emergency fund. I was that person. I'm speaking from experience. I'm speaking to you from a person who actually did what I'm talking about. And I know that thousands of people do it, because statistics keep telling me that 68 million people are in debt, broke, and got bad credit. That's why you see all these people promoting to you about they can fix your credit. They can fix your credit. I can fix your credit. I can fix your credit. Beware. Beware. I'm going to tell you right now, beware. And I'm going to share with you exactly what took place when I pulled my head out of the sand and I started taking my finances back by force. And it was bit by bit. I knew I didn't get in trouble overnight, so I knew I couldn't get out of trouble overnight. So stop looking for the quick fix or the 90-day wonder, the 120-day wonder. All of this, all these people feeding you this story. Yeah, I can get this off your credit. I can do this. I can do that. But there's a whole lot to it. And most people are buying into it, and they're getting ripped off, and you were already behind the 8 ball. This is what Carolyn and I did. We decided that we're going to do something about this. So I started working on my credit. I had the system in my back office all along. I just wasn't doing it. I kept falling into the trap of recruiting people. I'm a networker. I'm going to find a whole lot of people and leverage myself, blah, blah, blah. When all I had to do was go in there and take care of some business. So what I did is I went in the got the system that I already had, started applying the strategies, and guess what happened? Pulled my credit out of the toilet from the 600s into the 750s, was able to go and refinance my home from a 6.5 interest rate to 2.62. Okay, was able to pull some money out at the refinance and able to put a concrete driveway onto my home, get my home painted. As a result of that, that brought the value up in my home. So now the equity increases in my home, the value went up, my payment stayed the same because I wanted the money out. I could have made the decision where, the payment goes lower, but I wouldn't have got any money out of closing, but I wanted the money so I could do some home improvements. This is when I started learning. This is as a result of me learning more about financial literacy and the importance of keeping more money in my household. As a result of that, I started applying the principles, and I started putting away different types of money. I started finding that I could find money so I could fund my emergency fund. So we sat down and we looked at the finances and says, hey, do we need this or do we want this? See, once you sit down and take a conscious look at your finances, you'll decide, do I need this or do I want this? Okay, I don't need this. So whatever I don't need, I start subtracting and I start adding it to the add column, and then that increases my cash flow. Because it's not about income, ladies and gentlemen, it's about cash flow. My cash flow increased. Yes. Now remember, prior to me doing this, I was nearly $500,000 in debt. My credit score was in the low 600s. I didn't have an emergency fund. I didn't even have money to be investing any money. I was living retirement check to retirement check. So now instead of living retirement check to retirement check, we look at the check and it's just like it's more money for us to invest. Now, as a result, we're cash flowing nearly $350,000 in positive cash flow. We're one debt away from being 100% debt free. Now, let me explain to you, for all the people who don't really understand what debt free is. Debt free is when you have no bills that you're paying a monthly payment on outside of your food and your utilities. Let me say that again. Your food and your utilities. If you're making a car payment or you're making a mortgage payment or you're making a credit card payment, you're making any payment that you have to pay on that can pay that debt off, because that's not debt free. Utilities are ever evolving. They go up and down. Food goes up and down. But your car payment stays the same. Your rent stays the same. Your mortgage stays the same. Your credit card bill stays the same. Your student loan bill stays the same. All of those debts stay the same until you pay them off. That, my friend, is debt free. When you pay all of your debt off. In the year 2025, my wife and I will be 100% debt free. We will no longer have a mortgage. And what we did when we took care of the business and lowered the interest rate, put the money back into the house to add value and equity back into the home. Then we found some more money by sitting down, going over the finances. Now we're looking at finance a totally different bag. So once you know better, you're supposed to do better, and you look at your finances in a total different bag. And now here's the deal. Not only are we making the mortgage payment, but we're making an additional $1,000 onto the mortgage payment, paying $1,000 on the principal, because we understand the importance of want and need. So ever since understanding these strategies. And notice what I'm talking about here. I ain't talking about I signed up 10 people, 20 people, 30 people, got a large team. I'm talking about me and my wife making a conscious effort to get out of debt so we can be positive cash flow. Let me tell you what's going to happen at the end of 5 years when we become positive, when we become not positive, we are going to become positive when we become 100% debt free. You know how much cash flow that's going to be? That's going to be $10,000 a month positive cash flow. You do the math. That's not me signing up one person, 10 per person, 100 people. That's just me and her taking care of our finances using the strategy that you see me talking about all the time. I'm a staunch believer that documentation is better than conversation. And if you want to know and see what I'm doing, I'll be more than happy to show it to you. Because I don't believe in lying to you. Because see, here's what I know. Everything done in the dark will be exposed in the light. God is no respecter of person. So he will expose me if I'm lying. That I know. He is no respecter of person. So if you out here lying, perpetrating a fraud, you will get exposed. Greg and Carolyn are here to educate and bring you to awareness that it can be done. Okay, our finances were in the toilet, for real. Now we have a fully funded emergency fund that where if anything goes down, we won't miss a beat. It's not an emergency anymore. It's just a total inconvenience. It's a total inconvenience. It's an emergency for you and another person because you don't have the money. That's the only reason it's an emergency, because you don't have the money. When you have the money, it's just an inconvenience. I drive a 2007. My wife drives a 2011 because we've decided we don't need fancy cars with car payments. We live in a nice neighborhood. I'm just saying to you, ladies and gentlemen, that listen, it's been a long time before I decided to come out and just share this with you, because a lot of people, that are on my timeline, they come on my timeline, they come on my YouTube channel, they follow me all over, they hear me talking about, financial literacy, they hear me talking about credit. I've helped several people since helping my wife bring her credit up, helping me bring mine up, helping my wife bring hers up, and helping other people. So I just decided, after spending some time with the Lord this morning, I'm going to come out and just be 100% more transparent than I ever was. Yeah. And I'm going to have a burn the mortgage party on 2025. Yes. You owe it to yourself to do the same thing. And can it be done? Yes. Is it going to happen overnight? No. Is it a process? Yes. Is it refreshing to know that money is not the issue anymore? I can't tell you the weight that's lifted off of our heads, that we don't have to worry about nothing financial wise. If we want to eat steak and lobster every day, we can eat steak and lobster every day. That wasn't the question a few years back. No. We were trying to keep our heads above water, but we didn't understand the importance of money. And we have been making good money for a long time. My wife worked in the post office 38 years. Make a great pension. 25, great pension for me. Both of us together. You would have thought on the surface, man, they got it going on. And this is for all my siblings, all my nieces and nephews and cousins and all of you. Listen, Carolyn and I, and this is friends and family as well, but this is for everybody. But I'm just calling you out because I know most of you probably will be on my timeline either live. I'm going to do a free credit workshop in April, and everybody is invited to come to that free credit workshop. I don't even have the information down. All I have is my telephone number in the description. If that's something that you want to do, just call me. Just call me. I know the process works because I've been working the process. And when I tell you that in 2025, my wife and I will be 100% debt free, that's real. We have a fully funded emergency fund. Now we've had money, and we'll continue to have money to we have an investment account. Not only do we have an investment account, one of my real good friends has been teaching stock investing for beginners for quite some time. My wife and I decided to take the class. It's a 6-week class, cost $350. Let me tell you, we learned so much in the first week that we got our money's worth in the first week. We have a 100% fully invested or vested, however you want to say it, fully vested retirement fund. Now we understand what different ticker symbols what stand for. And for all of you out there that saying, "Oh, the stock market is risky and you're gambling and this and that," you stick your money in a bank and you're getting 0.00 whatever percentage on your money. But let me tell you something. The bank is taking your money and loaning it out at a higher interest rate. That's why they're able to give you a low interest rate. So you put $10,000 in the bank thinking it's safe in the bank. If your money is safe in the bank, then why wouldn't you buy stock in that bank? If you go to Walmart, why wouldn't you buy stock in Walmart? If you go to Macy's, why wouldn't you buy stock in Macy's? If you're going to buy kids Air Jordans and buy Jordans and go all the different places, why not buy stock in them? When you say you can't afford it, you haven't fully looked at it and became educated. The reason you can't afford it is because you haven't sat down and allowed yourself to become educated. So the first thing comes out of your mouth is it's risky, it's gambling, I can't afford it. You can't afford not to. If you're going to Walmart, Macy's, and anywhere you're going, if you're patronizing these places, you should own stock in them. If you have a Android phone, you should be buying stock in that company. If you have an Apple phone, iPad, and all that, you should be buying stock in Apple. Microsoft, you have a personal computer. I'm talking to you on a personal computer. I have an Android phone right here. Yes, you should buy stock in those companies. My eyes have been totally open to the stock market game because I allowed my friend to share with us what he's been sharing with us and hundreds of other people every Thursday. Now he's going to have another class, and this is a pitch for his class. It's going to be coming out somewhere around May. I'll be talking about it again. You owe it to yourself. Don't say you can't afford to do it. You can't afford not to do it. I don't want to see anybody go through the heartache and pain that Carolyn and I went through when you don't have to. The pandemic should have opened your eyes up to a lot of things, to knowing that you need to have some money. You need to have some emergency. You need to have what my mother used to talk about when we were coming up, some rainy day walk. My mama talked rainy day. My uncle used to call it walk around money. So I learned from both. So I did learn a little bit about finances, but not to the extent that I know right now. I'm telling you right now, I breathe a lot easier and sleep a lot wonderful at night because I know that all the bills are paid. I got money and I'm stress free. So I was stressing out. I'm like, man, I'm 60 years old. And how did we get here? How did we get here? You sit there and you ask this question like, how did I get here? And then the pandemic hit. Just thank God. If we were working, man, it'd be like, whoa, you can't go to work? Whoa, what's going on? You can't make any money? Do you have any money? I'm going to tell you, personal finance, me taking care of our personal finances was the best thing that I could have ever did in my entire life. And notice I said at the beginning of the video, I wasn't going to talk about nothing that had to do with recruiting people. This is all on you. And I've been a part of network marketing companies, and I know people making real good money in network marketing, and they're in a network marketing company every 2 to 3 years because they're chasing money. The reason I know this is because I was that person chasing money. Okay, here's another good deal over here. Let's go over here. Still over here a couple years. Okay, let's go over here. But what you're not realizing is, don't make no difference how much money you make in any of them companies, whether it's your job, a network marketing company, affiliate company, brick and mortar, makes no difference. You still have to learn how to keep more money in your pocket than you spend. When you learn that concept and understand what financial literacy really is, it won't make a difference. There's a lot of broke people out here that are pretending to have it going on, but they broke. And if you keep following behind these broke people, you're going to be the next broke one. Show me your friends and I'll show you your future. If you're interested in doing something and you're listening to 5 broke friends that don't have no nickels to rub together, you're going to be number 6. You got to check the source and the people you're hanging around with and getting information from. When they telling you that this thing don't work and that's a scam, what part of anything that I've shared with you here, whether you live or on the replay, that sound like a scam? Nothing. I challenge any one of you. We can have a phone. We can have an intelligent conversation anytime. You can call me up. I'm an open book. My number's in the description. You can call me up and we can talk about it. Because if your credit score is not in the high 7s, because it don't have to be 800. If it's not in the high 7s, you don't have a minimum of at least $1,000 to $6,000 of an emergency fund, whether you working or not. You headed for disaster, my friend. If you are not investing your money and having your money have babies for you, because one thing's for sure, you're going to get to the age of 50, 60, 70 years of age. And if you think that your 401k or your pension is going to fund you for the rest of your life, you got another thing coming. You better wake up and smell the coffee. I don't even care if you got $1 million in your account. Because if you got $1 million in your account, okay, let's do the math for these math geniuses. You got $1 million in your account and you're not funding that $1 million. It's just $1 million sitting in the bank, but you're withdrawing $5,000 off of it every month. That's $60,000 a year. How many of them $60,000 a year are going to deplete that million if you're not growing the million? See, you got to grow the million, so you got to fund it. So you have to have money funding money. That's money growing and having babies. So you can say, oh, I got my pension. I'm going to get my pension. It's going to be $1 million in there. Okay. So now when you get to, let's just say in a best case scenario, you got $1 million in your investment account from your not investment account, from your 401k. Same thing. You know, but let's go to the best case scenario. All your bills are paid, mortgage paid and everything. You positive cash flowing on your pension. Just say your pension is $3,000 a month. $3,000. You used to living off of 5. So you got to take 2 off of your retirement money. $24,000 a year. So how many $24,000 a year is that going to last you all the way to, what if you live to be 80 or 90? Is that going to last you if you're not funding it? You're not funding it. You're just taking money out, but you're not putting anything in and growing it. Because see, what the goal is to live off the interest and keep the principal in there. Live off the interest and keep the principal, so you never outlive your money. You live to be 100 and you still got money. That's why the Bible says we're to leave an inheritance to our children's children, not debt. That would mean that you're funding your fund. You're funding your money. What would your life look like if you knew you were doing that? And I ain't talking about sticking it in a bank, because if you stick your money in a bank and you're thinking you're gonna get it, you getting a high. Just even if you stuck it in there and you thought you were getting 3%, which you're not, that's not keeping up with inflation. See, this is where this is not the I'm gonna say silent, but this is the part that people don't understand, which is called that silent killer called inflation. And that's why they tell you, you hear the people, these so-called gurus talking about this is the fiat money and this and that. You're right. Okay, you need to go do this and you need to go do that. And that's a whole other rabbit hole. I'm not gonna go down there. But that same dollar that I had in 1950, 1960 is not the it's the same dollar, but it don't have the same buying power. That's all it is, because the inflation didn't eat it up. And that's what will happen when you retire and you're not funding your emergency fund. See, Carolyn and I are in a position right now that our not only is our emergency fund being funded every month, our investment fund is being funded. So when we leave here, we know without a shadow of a doubt that we're going to leave an inheritance to our children's children. We know that. We've already looked at the numbers. When you look at the numbers, see, numbers don't lie. People lie every day. Numbers don't lie. And thank God for my mentor who showed me the importance of looking at the stock market and putting money into an investment pool that will grow my money so my money is making babies. You want your money to be making babies. If your money is not making babies, you lose. Automatic. You already setting yourself up for failure right off the rip. It's not a matter of if it's gonna happen, it's just when it's gonna happen, because it's gonna happen. Don't keep buying the lie. Don't keep buying what the news media is telling you. Take care of your personal finances. I needed to share that. It's been on my heart. I knew that most people wouldn't get it. Some will, some won't. I don't want to use the other word, but some will, some won't. It's just what it is. I'm going to be sharing that same similar type story this Saturday. It's what's called a Super Saturday. Yeah, I'm one of the speakers, but I'm going to be doing an overview, and I'm going to be talking about my story, a little bit of my story for about 30 seconds to a minute. I'll be telling my story. My story is real. It's unique to me. Your story is real, but you owe it to yourself and your family to become debt-free. That's the conversation we should be having going forward in the future. What date can I project myself to be debt-free? It's possible. All things are possible through Christ. Don't let nobody tell you nothing different. If anybody tells you that it's not possible to be debt-free, you run away from them fast, because it's possible. Carolyn and I are one debt away, and that's 5 years. And I'm working on some things in the background to speed that process up, to cut where I can cut it to 2.5. Right now we on point to be in 5 years, but I'm in a process of doing something right now to be able to bring some more income, having another stream of income, but not a job. Another stream of income is not another job. If you got 3 jobs, that's not 3 streams of income, that's 3 jobs. You're getting income from all 3 of those places, but you spreading yourself out very thin, because there's only 24 hours in a day. Warren Buffett said, if you're not making money while you're sleeping, you're working for the rest of your life. You got to be having your babies make babies. Yeah. And you got to get around people who talk like that, and not the broke people. You got to disassociate yourself from the broke people. It's just that simple. You hang around with 5 broke people, and you're going to be number 6. It's guaranteed. It's not if it's going to happen, it's when it's going to happen. It's going to happen that minute, because misery loves company. And they're miserable and broke, and they want you to be right there with them. That's why they're miserable, because they're broke. Because they buried their head in the sand. Somebody didn't come along like myself and says, hey, I can show you how to get out of debt. I can show you how to get an emergency fund. I can show you how to get an investment account. I can show you how to get your credit out of the toilet with these 5 to 6 strategies. I can show you how to have a fully funded emergency fund using a step-by-step process. But as soon as a person like myself or somebody else tells it to you or your friends, then you go up and go into the witness protection program and says, I'm good. Knowing you're not, but you fear. You're fearful because you've been listening to your 5 broke cousins. Now you're number 6. You're 6th broke cousin. And then now you keep perpetuating that lie, and it ends up being in that statistic that I told you earlier. They got 68 million people who are broke. 68 million people who are in debt. 68 million people plus who have bad credit. That's why you see payday loans all over the place, all over. Because they know. They know. See, the system knows. The only people ain't getting the memo is you and your broke cousin. That's why y'all keep going over there, going to Renter Center. You go in the Renter Center, in my area it's called Renter Center. Why in the world would you go and rent a washer and dryer or a television set when you could have saved your money and bought it? Because you didn't pay for it 10 times over. Are you kidding me? That don't make no sense. Why would you go borrow money, your own money, at 15, 20%? Why? Why would you go get a car with a high interest rate so you can have a car with a high interest rate that they're financing you all the way out for 72 months and you live in an apartment paying $1,200 a month or $1,500 a month? If you can afford to pay $1,500 in rent, you can afford to buy. The reason, the difference between you buying is your mindset. You don't think you can do it. You keep listening to your broke cousins. Do you know how much money you throwing down the drain when you pay $1,500 a month renting? When all you had to do was work on your credit, raise your credit score up, put you some money aside, take your time. You might have to live in this 1-2 bedroom apartment. Okay, that's temporary. Save your money and then go and buy your house. You might have to drive a piece of car for a minute, but I would rather drive a piece of car than to be over here struggling forever and being in debt when you don't have to be. So when a person like myself comes along and is offering you a way out and you say no, that's just like the story of the woman who was, when the flood came and she's on the top of her roof and the helicopter, the guy in the boat comes by, she say, I'm good. The guy in the helicopter come by, she say, I'm good. Then she dies and it tells Jesus, how come you left me down here? And Jesus says, I sent the guy in the boat and I sent the guy in the helicopter and you said you was good. Well, how many more signs I got to tell? How many more signs I need to show you? The signs is all around you every day. You see it. Whether somebody telling you or you reading it and you keep saying you're good and you staying broke when you don't have to be broke. And here's the deal, the system, I'm going to show you, you ain't got to recruit one person. You can bring yourself out of debt by yourself using your money. Are you kidding me? I wish somebody would have showed me that system 15 years ago. It would be a different conversation today. But the fact that it didn't happen, I can't cry over spilled milk, but I didn't close my eyes to the possibilities when my friends shared it with me in 2016. My life has been totally changed 180 degrees from 2016 to now. I will never be broke another day in my life. I will never have bad credit another day in my life. I will always have a substantial amount of emergency money every day of my life till I leave. And if everybody that I share this with don't want to take part of it because of whatever reason, because they're decided that they want to stay broke and keep on renting and keep on having high interest rate and robbing Peter to pay Paul, that's on them. And just like the scripture says, and I'm going to leave on this, the poor will be with us always, That's not money. That's a mindset. See, Jesus knew what he was saying when he told you that the poor will be with us always. Because if you got a poor mindset, you'll never go. It's the same way of bringing somebody to salvation. They don't believe it. So they stay over there and doing their sinful things. Because they don't believe salvation is real. Just like the same people don't believe getting out of debt is real. And that's why they still broke. They don't believe their credit can get no better. So they keep paying high interest rate because they don't know. My granddaddy was doing it. My daddy was doing it. My daddy's doing it. My cousins and nieces and everybody doing it. So you don't want to never break the generational curse. You just want to stay broke forever and pass it on to your kids and your grandkids and your grandkids' kids. So you want to contribute to the generational foolishness. With that said, ladies and gentlemen, I love you. If you want to have a conversation with me, an intelligent conversation, feel free. I'll put some more information in here where you can go and find out more about what I'm doing this weekend. I'm going to be coming out from day to day, week to week, talking about financial literacy. You know, my story is not unique. It's just unique to me. Yeah, I was in debt. Bad, embarrassing. But now the skills are off and I can breathe easy and I feel great. The stress level is gone. The pressure is off. And me and my wife are happy. For real. You deserve that same happiness. God bless you. God keep you.